Okay, quickly here I'm going to go through our commutative and associative property of addition and multiplication. Okay, really all commutative and associative property is telling us that no matter what we're doing, if we're adding, if we're doing all addition or all multiplication, the order doesn't matter. And it kind of communicates that in two different ways. Okay, first, commutative property. The purpose of understanding these is to make sure that we have a situation where we can add or multiply more effectively. Okay, so if I'm using the commutative property, let's say I have the expression 35 plus 17 plus 105. Okay, if I have that, okay, I can go ahead and I can do 35 plus 17 plus 105. But what the commutative property allows me to do is to add this more effectively. If I can see that I have 35 and 105, those are real, 5s and 10s are really easy for me to add together. So I see that 35 plus 105 would give me 140. Okay, I should be able to do that in my head pretty easily. Then I can take that 140 and add my 17. You can, of course, do it long ways, but also 140 is a 10, is a multiple of 10, and I say, okay, 140 plus 10 is 150, plus 7 is 157. So by using the commutative property, I took my expression here, and I used the commutative property to add more effectively, and what I did was I just changed it to 35 plus 105 plus 17. That was a lot easier for me to add in my head than if I did 35 plus 17 plus 105. Okay, so the commutative property says that no matter the order I'm doing, as long as I'm always doing addition, as long as I'm still always doing addition, the order of my numbers doesn't matter. Okay. All right. As far as the associative property is pretty much the same thing. Okay. But the associative property, the only difference with the associative property, it has to do with grouping. Okay. So I'm going to write grouping. Okay. Also, while I'm saying that, the commutative property also works with multiplication. If I'm doing multiplication, it's not going to matter the order that I do it. So if I was multiplying, I could also change the order of the way that I multiply. So commutative property works with addition and multiplication. Okay? And for the associative property, I'm doing multiplication as the example. So let's say that I have 5 times 19 times 2. Okay? And 19 times 2 is grouped. Okay? Well, the associative property is going to tell me that since I'm using multiplication, I can regroup these numbers any way I want. So therefore, I can say, okay, let me regroup it so that it's easier to multiply this out. So I can go ahead and say, rewrite this as 5 times 2, because I know 5 times 2 real easily gives me 10. And then I can multiply by 9. So using associative property, this is exactly the same thing. I just changed the way I grouped, but I'm still doing 5 times 2 now gives me 10. And it's so much easier for me to multiply when I know that I can regroup it like that. And 10 times 19 would give me 190. Okay. So commutative, associative property, really all it has to do with order. Commutative property doesn't have to do with parentheses or grouping. Associative property does have to do with um, again, if this was addition, it would still work out the same way. Okay, even with addition. So commutative property and associative property both work with addition and multiplication. I just have to make sure that I'm doing all addition, all multiplication.